Why men come back when women forget them, the power shift in modern relationships. Have you ever noticed that as soon as you move on from someone, they suddenly show up in your life again? Maybe they text you out of the blue, like a scene straight out of a rom-com, "Hey, I miss you." You're left wondering, why now? Why, after all this time? This pattern can be frustrating and confusing, yet it's more common than we realize. There's actually a deeper, sociological reason behind why men come back when women move on. In this video, we'll explore the psychology, power dynamics, and relationship theories that can help make sense of this phenomenon, and maybe even empower you in your own journey. The power dynamics in modern relationships. The foundation of this boomerang effect lies in the complex power dynamics that influence many relationships. Sociologist Eva Illouz argues that modern romance is often marked by a subtle struggle for control and emotional availability. In many relationships, men and women don't invest equally in terms of emotions, time, or energy. This imbalance can create a situation where one person has more control, often the one who is more emotionally detached or ambiguous about commitment. For instance, in relationships where a man isn't fully committed or emotionally available, he may find comfort in knowing the woman is always there, always waiting. When she finally decides to let go and move on, something fundamental shifts. She reclaims her emotional autonomy and, in doing so, disrupts his comfort zone. Suddenly, he's no longer in control, and the security of her affection is no longer a given. This jarring realization can prompt him to re-evaluate his feelings, and, ironically, that's when he decides he wants her back. The psychology behind why men come back. Psychology offers several theories to explain this sudden shift in behavior. One well-known concept is called reactance theory, which posits that people tend to want what they can't have. When a woman is no longer emotionally available or accessible, the man experiences a sense of loss, even if he wasn't committed to the relationship initially. This scarcity effect often triggers a psychological response where he begins to idealize her, longing for what he once took for granted. A classic example, when someone leaves a relationship and stops investing time or energy into it, their absence creates a void for the other person. Psychologically, this can lead to a longing to reclaim what has been lost. It's not uncommon to hear people say, "You don't know what you have until it's gone." In this case, the man realizes that his sense of security, rooted in her presence and commitment, has disappeared, prompting him to return. Why detachment is so powerful. Detachment, or letting go, is a powerful act. It isn't about pretending to move on or playing hard to get. Genuine emotional detachment often means creating a fulfilling life that doesn't depend on a particular person's presence or approval. When a woman genuinely detaches, she changes her focus from waiting for someone to fulfill her to investing in her own happiness and growth. She becomes the center of her life again, and this shift is not only healthy but also inherently attractive. For example, imagine a woman who spent years hoping her partner would become more committed, constantly adjusting her life to his whims. One day, she decides enough is enough and redirects her energy toward her own goals, career, friendships, and passions. Suddenly, she radiates confidence and independence, and this new aura can be incredibly appealing. Experts in relationship psychology note that this shift creates what's known as attraction through detachment. When you're no longer chasing someone, they sense the change. Paradoxically, this pull effect, caused by your complete focus on your own life, often makes them feel drawn back to you. The scenarios and calculations. Let's dig into a hypothetical scenario to illustrate this principle. Consider two people, Sarah and Mark. They dated for 2 years, but Mark was always hesitant to commit. He'd disappear for days, then come back, leaving Sarah feeling insecure. Finally, Sarah decides to move on, focusing instead on her passion for photography. Months go by, and she becomes immersed in a new community of creatives, enjoying her freedom and self-growth. For the sake of understanding, let's assume a timeline. 1 month after breakup, Sarah starts feeling liberated, focusing on herself. 3 months after breakup, Sarah is entirely invested in her new projects and stops checking her phone for texts from Mark. 4 months after breakup, Mark, realizing Sarah hasn't reached out, suddenly feels her absence. This period of detachment, from Sarah's perspective, becomes transformative. But for Mark, it creates a sense of scarcity and uncertainty. Research in psychology shows that humans, especially in relationships, don't handle uncertainty well. When people no longer feel assured of someone's presence, they often seek to restore that stability, even if it means returning to a relationship they were unsure of before. Expert insights on why this happens. Several experts offer valuable insights into this pattern. In her book Why Love Hurts, Eva Illouz explains that power dynamics play a central role in romantic relationships. When a woman decides to move on and genuinely lets go, she's not just ending a relationship, she's challenging the power balance, often without realizing it. Relationship coach Matthew Hussey expands on this idea, explaining that when you don't need someone, you become far more desirable. Hussey argues that true independence, not forced indifference, is what draws people back. When men see a woman thriving and happy, they're drawn to her renewed self-confidence. On a biological level, attraction isn't just about appearance, it's about energy and confidence. When a woman focuses on herself, her energy changes. This shift in energy is something others naturally pick up on, even unconsciously, and it often makes her more appealing to the very person she moved on from. Final thoughts: building a life you love. Moving on and genuinely forgetting someone who was once important to you isn't easy. It's a process that requires time, self-reflection, and a commitment to prioritize your own happiness. Yet, paradoxically, it's this very act of letting go that often causes others to come back. When you stop waiting for someone else to validate your worth and start building a life you love, you reclaim your power. If you find yourself in a situation where an old flame suddenly reappears, take a moment to ask yourself, do you really want them back? Or was it the journey of moving on that helped you find your true self? The choice is yours, but remember, the most fulfilling relationships are built on mutual respect, balance, and genuine emotional availability. Sometimes, the most powerful love story is the one you create with yourself.